going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Thursday, August 11th, 2022. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Well, it just happens to be that full moon in Aquarius. It's quite the full moon. There's some heavy transits going on, so without further ado, let's jump into it. It's wild, right? Just looking at the chart, before I just start channeling into it, I didn't even put all the extra stuff. I just put the meat and potatoes because that's it's just so intense, right? Of course, we're looking at Uranus opposite the south node with the north node. We're looking at this full moon. It's with Saturn, sun at 19 degrees, and the sun is still square Uranus, square the nodes, and guess what? So is the moon and Saturn. So there's this giant fixed cross, grand cross, if you will. And really, that's the potency of this, because it does make a diamond, right? Even in this, just happens to be at the time of the exact, in this porphyry house system, it is a diamond. So it's a lot of pressure. And how do diamonds get created, right? They get created from pressure. So there's a big pressure release here. And I think that, it's just important to know that a full moon is always going to be a release, right? We start things on a new moon, and then we get to this full moon, and it is this sort of very emotionally intense, we're looking, we can see our emotions. They're just all out there. And it's intense because we have to let some things go. We can't hold on to every emotion forever. And in Aquarius, it's especially trying to go towards the future. It's about the people in our lives, the connections in our lives, the friends we're around. Literally, what part of society are you in right now? And it's about your future, right? So it's about the innovation quality of life. And with Uranus all up in this full moon, it's even adding to that more. There is such an innovative quality to life right now that is so important, and it's so deeply connected to people. And it's so deeply about where you're going in your future and your individuality. And I think that especially with the sun dignified here in Leo, it's about the courage it takes to revolutionize and to individuate you and to get you on the right wave. Aquarius is, of course, the two waves. So, we need to think about which wave we're trying to be on in life right now. And there's aspects in our life that we have to have the courage, sun in Leo, the valor. We have to use our hearts, and we have to figure out the way to go. But it's not so much, we can try and be so mental about the figuring out. And this Mercury, of course, is up here in Virgo, where it's very, very strong. It wants to figure things out and have things dialed into the point. But remember, with all this Uranian energy, good luck just having all the pieces of the puzzle put together. It's deeper than that. It's much deeper. And, by the way, Venus will ingress into Leo right before this full moon exacts also. So we're getting Venus leaving Cancer and coming into Leo with the sun, which is very potent too for also creating relationships that are built around love. Really creating relationships that are generous, that are giving, that, we can connect with people that are on that same sort of element right now. So there has to be a win-win in life, or it's not the right energy. It's not the right place to be. So you have to really look at where you're getting wins in your life and where people around you are getting wins in their life and where they are not. And that's a big part of this emotional release that's taking us into the future, that's going to show us the way. I think we're going to get all the insights we need for this energy and where it's taking us moving forward, because it's crazy. This is the most in-between full moon of eclipses that we could ever have, right? In between the nodes, T-square the nodes. So it has the intensity of an eclipse. It's not fully changing the slide, but it's a big prep for the slide that is changing in our lives. And I think remembering that by doing things the same way, by going about things in these same sort of repetitive patterns, which I think Mercury would like in Virgo, we have to break through. We have to break out. And sometimes in life, when you get big energy like this, it can feel like a breakdown. but there's energy right now that the breakdown is the breakthrough. So, it's not easy. And even just having a moon with Saturn, it's not easy. Like, this is going to take emotional maturity in our lives to push through into this new vibration, into this new frequency, this new wave with the right collective energy that's around you. Now, the collective is going to be a mixed bag of duality. It's just going to be that always. It's not every single person is going to be the same. That would be the sort of a negative trait of Aquarius, this hive mind. That, like, I would say one of the negative traits of Aquarius is the idea of socialism in a lot of ways, or communism. Like, every single person looks the same. Every single person does the same. Every single person is doing the same thing for society. It doesn't work that way. In a healthy Aquarian energy, it's definitely about a rebellious, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do it my own way. And that's the polarity here with the full moon and with the sun in Leo, is that it takes courage to be an individual and to go a different way, to go a route that maybe hasn't been done before. It's alien energy with Aquarius. But it's not aliens coming down from the sky like you're the alien, right? You're the alien going into new territory right now where you're revolutionizing your personal life, your career life, your relationship life, and really channeling it from the heart. Channeling it from the things in life that make you feel like you are the king or the queen in your life. And you're surrounded by the court and the people that support you and want you to rule in your own power. Because a lot of this is like, you can't even get on the wave you need to be unless you're in your own power. And we have to remember that Sun in Leo is very strong. And come back to that place. And where people in life are going to try and control you with a moon Saturn, or people in life are trying to, sort of rule or dictate or keep you, suppressed, this is where you got to break out, to shine your light, to be in your soul's authenticity, and to realize that you have the information needed to make the physical changes in your life. But there's this South Node, which I talk about daily, but it's just in that big fixed cross where we can stubbornly hold on to situations that are controlling, are manipulating. We can want to stay in some sort of aspect in life that's dying, especially when we're dealing with Pluto finishing in Capricorn. We can want to stay in these weird sort of societal systems and these government systems that are actually very manipulating, very controlling, and there's an abuse of power. And I think a good example of the South Node in Scorpio with Pluto in its final sort of full retrograde here in Capricorn, which was also opposite Pluto, was Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago getting raided by the DOJ they're not saying any good reason for doing it. Just did it. Like, that's a misuse of power from a government source. So if there was one benefit that I really see from that whole thing that I'm just going to bring up on this horoscope, is that it's so blatantly obvious that there's misuse of power going on right now. If you didn't know it before, I think that even people who are maybe Biden supporters can see that, like, wow, that was kind of, or even people that hate Trump, like, could you imagine just getting your house raided for no good reason? You'd be pretty pissed, right? Be like, wow, I got pretty manipulated. There's a lot of manipulative energy out there. There's a lot of energy that's trying to suck you away from the wave you're meant to be on in life and the connections in life that you're really meant to be a part of that are going to revolutionize your life. This is definitely the breaking point where there's no other way to go but the way that you've never been before. And it's not about being scared or fearful or unsure even. If we're going to use the South Node to our benefit here in Scorpio, this is about seeing the alchemist within you. This is about seeing that you can transform and metamorphosize your reality into an actual physical connection, into an actual physical Garden of Eden. And to realize you have all those tools that are deeply embedded within you, but there's only one way to do it, and that's to actually do it. Taurus is very physical. And Mars is sextile Neptune. They make their exact sextile early today before this full moon as Mars comes to 25 degrees, which is also working on the trine over to Pluto. So I think there's a lot of outer energy here. I mean, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, like these energies are playing a huge force right now. And I think that we need to see through illusions. We need to see, with our soul right now. And that's what's going to help us build and move forward into a lot of beautiful connection, a lot of beautiful transformation, and, love. Like a lot of beautiful love that you can show for yourself, that you can show for people in your life. And, I think it takes grit. Like there's grit. Like this Moon, Saturn, Mars, Pluto, Uranus squaring all this energy. Like it takes a grit and determination from a very deep inner place in our lives to make the necessary changes to get on the path that is less traveled, but there are still people traveling it. So it's not like you have to go at this alone or isolate yourself. It's just about finding energy in life that has no desire to control you, but has every desire to show you how much you're worth and to uplift you and encourage you to do something potent in your life that is of your vibration. So it's like that's the highest of vibrations, in my opinion, is when you're on a high enough vibration that somebody else is doing something different, but it makes them happy. And you want to support that because you want to see another person happy and doing what they love. You might not like video games. I like video games. So what? It makes me happy. You might like makeup. I don't like makeup. But you know what? If makeup makes you happy, I support that. That's like the Aquarian kind of win-win. Like, oh, you're doing something I'm not doing. I love that. And it makes you happy right now with the sun in Leo, and it makes you shine, and you're in your light, and you're in your love, and this is where we need to go. And if you're not receiving that in your life from people, from friends, lovers, especially with Venus now in Leo, like you're going to be losing some of your light. You're going to feel like you're not getting the love that you deserve, or you're giving too much love, and you're not getting it in return as well. And that's, not going to make you feel very secure or very abundant within yourself. So it's a very, very potent day, very potent full moon. But I think the release of a lot of energy that's trying to restrict you, because Aquarius wants freedom. It wants liberation. It's actually that simple in the grand scheme of things. Why do we keep holding ourselves back? And why do we keep limiting ourselves when the liberation is probably right in front of us? And it just takes courage to have to say that one thing, which Mercury and Virgo will say it. It will say what's on its mind. And it will bring the truth in a grounded, spot on, analytical way. But it still takes the courage from the heart to get the words out. And I didn't talk about Jupiter, but, it's kind of a trip that Jupiter went retrograde the day of the new moon in Leo. And it was in really good aspects with Venus. And Venus is starting to build up on an 8-degree trine. So I do think that there is a lot of abundance within us right now, but it can feel like our stories are moving backwards. Our stories are, we're not as empowered in them as we were. It can feel like there's a balloon that kind of popped. And I think we want to remember that balloon did not pop. And that, really it's almost a trine to the midpoint of Venus and the sun. So there is this trine energy to Jupiter right now. It comes down to the courage to know that you're not deflating right now. You're actually empowering and growing yourself in the most powerful of ways from a more deeper understanding of your own sort of journey, your own philosophy to liberate and create and be emotionally intelligent, but to also, there's coldness. There's a lot of coldness with Moon, Saturn, and Aquarius even. It's not that we want to be cold like ice queens or kings here, but when it comes to important fixed energy change, which fixed energy doesn't want to change, and we can be extra stubborn, we have to remember that the life force has to change. It has to sort of attach and fixate itself to more abundant energy right now. And how are you going to go about doing that? Are you going to use this full moon to release the stuff that is restrictive and is limiting? It can feel like a chore in some ways right now because we can be feeling a lot of different things. Some people could be thriving, of course, in this energy, and others could not be. So it does depend, of course, on every individual person, but the moral of the story is I think the people that feel like they're thriving right now are going to be the ones that are doing things their own way, doing things a little bit different, not just being a follower. There's a lot of leader energy here. So if you're stepping up in any way to be a leader in your own life, then you're doing something very potent for yourself and for the collective. And I think with Neptune here, sextile Mars and sextile over to Pluto, and we have this sextile triangle here, that there is a lot of focus on these higher powers, these kind of godlike energies with Neptune that can feel like they're dreams, right? You know, we don't really see it with Neptune, but we can feel it. And I think we have to trust the action from our conscious desires, Mars, and our subconscious desires, our soul, Pluto, to really listen and to liberate and to build structure in our life that is fitting with a high value of your self-character, and to not go into anything right now or connect to energy that is taking away from that value that you have in yourself. All right, pull some cards now. What deck? That's a good question. I haven't used this deck in a while. Why not? Appreciate you all in the chat. It's kind of wild to be live at 4:12 in the morning, but I guess at some places it's like 7:12 on the East Coast, 6:12 Central. It's kind of wild. Like who's actually watching this at this hour? But with all this Uranian energy, it could be a little hard to sleep too. It's a lot on the nervous system, and it's a lot of channeling and downloads, and there's a lot of energy in our field right now, that's for sure. All right. Two of Pentacles. You know, I think we're kind of feeling stuck between two worlds right now and kind of juggling out our pros and cons of each. When I think we know that there's one that's very solid, and we know that there's one that's a little more like the ocean. There's a lot going on in the ocean. We could go surf a wave and have a great time, or we could get absolutely pummeled by a wave and maybe not have such a good time. It's interesting. It feels like a very, very karmic choice, and it is a very karmic time in the astrology. It's very destined times. These are moments in astrology where life changes for people. Such as life. It just happens that way. And we do have a choice, but we're in between the worlds. The Star card reversed. Been getting that card a lot lately. Like, we'd rather go backwards. And I can tell you with a full moon in Aquarius and having an Aquarius moon and this energy being on my moon that you don't want to go backwards. You definitely want to. It's better to blow up the old world than to go back into it. That's like an Aquarius moon's worst nightmare. So remember this guidance right now that's trying to show you another way. You've already learned so much, especially spiritually, that like the guidance within and just having the courage to follow that will take you exactly where you need to go on your destined path, and the new beginnings that will, illuminate the way from inside in many ways. Like, remember that when you make your choices, and don't look backwards. Ace of Wands in reverse. Oh, jeez. I know this deck always, it's so shiny. Well, it always reminds me of the baton from God, the Ace of Wands, and reversed, it's like, nope, sorry, God. After the star card reversed, I don't. I know it'd be better, but I'm scared to make that choice, and I'm scared to liberate myself, and I'm not feeling the courage and the strength, and I'm just so uncomfortably comfortable in this place I'm already at. Remember your courage. Remember to take that baton, to let go of aspects in life that are just not connecting. And your frequency, your aura knows exactly what that is. These are the moments, these are the times, these are some of the biggest decisions and releases that we might make until we get these eclipses coming in October, November. So it's a beautiful time to be alive. It's not a time to be afraid to live. It's definitely a time to live. And sometimes we got to do things in this life to live that we weren't expecting or we didn't plan for. But we're writing new plans for our future. And it's okay if you don't have the 10-year plan drawn out yet, because that wouldn't work out anyways. So just be here, be now, in the present moment. Plan out accordingly with how you're feeling. You'll probably enjoy every day as we move forward much more if you're doing just that. I love you all very much. I hope you have a beautiful, I'm sure it looks beautiful up there, a beautiful full moon in Aquarius. Don't forget to liberate yourself, and have a great day. Love you all very much. Peace.